Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your life path for 2021 readings. So, before we go into it, a few words about the year, or should I say, about the energy of the year 2021. So, many of you will remember that when we got into 2020, I did a video for the year ahead, and I remember saying specifically to everybody, it was going to be challenging, it was going to be tough. There were probably going to be things that we weren't ready for, that we hadn't foreseen, so to speak, and here we are on the other end of it. So I want to put this little blurb at the beginning of each one of these videos, just to give you kind of an idea of the year 5, right? So when you consider that each number vibration is kind of like a response or a differentiation or a divergence away from the predecessor's energy. The 4 year was about restriction, limitation, challenge. It was about repetition. It was about sticking with things. It was about working through things. It was about, the 4 energy, the 2020 is a 4 year, is about, the foundations. It's about the things that are rigid. A box can either be used as a step to take you to the next level, or it can be used as a prison, right? It can, it has both functions. So on the other side of that, we've got 2021, which is a 5 year. The number 5 is about freedom, liberation, energy, being dynamic. It's about passion. It's about vibrancy. It's about the sensual and the sexual. The 5 year is often, in terms of the personal year 5, it's often been called the sex, drugs and rock and roll year. Now, obviously, I'm not, condoning the drugs part. I'm just, if that's your thing, if that's what floats your boat, then please feel free. What I'm saying to you is this energy is vastly different to the year before. Now, what does that mean? It means that you may very well want and need more travel, more adventure, more sex, more sensual pleasures in your life. You may want to try new things. You may be stepping out of the box, and we're going to see this across the board. Now, remember, 2021, it's the year for everybody, right? So regardless of what your life path number is, regardless of what your personal year number is, the energy of the year itself is the number 5. So what are the things that we're likely to encounter there? What's the big word, the one word that sums up the 5 energy is change. It is the energy of change, the energy of difference, the energy of liberation and freedom, as I mentioned. Now, things that we might need to be aware of. Currently, 2020 took away a lot of our freedoms. 2020 took us to places where we were locked down. It took us into this idea that we're not in control, that we're not in charge. That 4 was no longer a step. It became a prison at certain points. Granted, most of us were locked in our homes rather than like actual prisons, but you see the point that I'm making with that kind of energy. The 5 energy wants change, freedom, liberation. It breaks out of that box and says, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I want. I want to enjoy. I want to indulge in the world, right? I want difference. I don't want the same. I want everything and anything that is new, that is innovative. These are all wonderful energies, but what does that look like on the wider world stage? Everybody in some way, shape or form is going to want freedom and liberation. And if a lot of the things that were put in place in terms of our freedoms being taken away, in terms of, being told what we can and can't do, this is where 2020 could become quite a rocky year, because what you're going to see is the kickback. These things were put in place to keep us all safe. These things were put in place to keep us all well looked after. These things were put in place to flatten curves, to make sure that we were all in a good stead, for sure. I get that, but on the other side of it, how much is that going to be repealed? How much is it going to be peeled back? So the big question that now comes up is 2021. Freedom, liberation, innovation. We could be seeing new technologies, new ways of doing things. We could see brand new, like really advanced healing methods, ways of growing food, creating food. We could see a lot of this. We could see a lot of connection. We could see a big expansion of the understanding of not only connections between people, but also this idea of what it means to be governed from the top and what it means to be self-governing. We could see a lot of that, and the kickback may very well be that, you know, it starts to become a bit of an us and them. You know, you don't control us. We can make our own decisions. We can make our own choices. And the thing is, 9 out of 10 people, if they're left to self-govern, they tend to choose the right thing to do. You know, not because it's the right thing to do, but because everybody at base level is tapped into their own humanity. You know, you wouldn't necessarily go out of your way to hurt another person, you know, unless obviously there's things going on within you. Anyway, that's for another video and another debate. So what you're very likely to see over the course of 2021 is people looking to break out of the specific norms that have been imposed. You may very well see people wanting to change the rules, people wanting to find new ways of liberating themselves and also the people that they love, but also the masses. So you may very well see this kind of energy take place over then. 5 is a very restless energy. It's a very boisterous energy. It's lusty, sexual, passionate, vibrant. It's a number of the sensual world. So you could see a lot of this over the course of the 2021. You might see a lot of hedonism, whatever that means to you, come out. You might very well see people finding new this is the thing, I've said innovative like 3 times, but I can't stress that enough, because it's new, progressive, vibrant, passionate energy. You may very well see a lot of this. I think we're going to see a real advancement in ways that we can travel as well, because the 5 energy loves travel. It loves anything and anyone different. It loves anything and anyone that is foreign to what they know. People will want to try, more so than ever, people will want to try new foods, new food sources. I feel we're going to see a lot of this as well. Like, we recently had this meat-free burger thing come up. I think we're going to see a lot more developments in the 5 year over that kind of thing. I think we're going to see a lot, like a massive explosion towards health, vitality. I think we're going to see sports, all kinds of things around that. I think we're going to see big changes and big evolutions of. I actually feel like we might go in the direction as well where we're not necessarily looking at sort of like, oh, look at us, we're all focusing on the football league. I feel like it might sort of break apart, and you might see that the local leagues become a lot more important, or become a lot more, a lot more focus and attention is placed on those things that are happening locally, and you might see a lot of growth in those areas. I think there's going to be an explosion of health, fitness sort of stuff, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be because it's like, I need to get healthy, I need to look good. It's more going to be a case of, this is enjoyable, and if we can do it together, it's even more fun. So that looks like it's going to be great. But yeah, those are just some a few notes about the 2021 year itself before we go into your life path, your personal life path reading. So there is a link in the description box below. If you don't know your life path number, you will be able to find it. You'll be able to work it out, and trust me, I have dyscalculia, so if I can do it, trust me, you can. All right, just don't overthink it. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Now let's get into your life path reading for 2021. Take care, I'll see you soon. Hello, you beautiful life path 2 person. Welcome to your 2021 Taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, I love you for it. So if you are a life path 2 or you are cross-watching for a life path 2. If you're a cross-watcher, make sure you share. And yeah, with that said, we are going to go into your 2021 tarot scope for life path 2 people. Now, things are slightly different. This isn't just your standard year ahead, right? So check this out. We are going to delve into what it means for you if you are a life path 2 and you are living 2021. So 2021 is a 5-year. You've seen the blurb at the beginning of the video. So let's see how this interacts with your personal life path number. So together, these numbers are going to give you an energy that that creates a slow to progress energy. So the feeling that you might be getting from this, there are certain numbers that are going to struggle under this energy, and unfortunately one of them happens to be your life path because they're very different energies. This could feel this year like you're driving with the brakes on. May very well ask you to start being really selective about partnerships. It will start to see you sorting through the pile of who's going to be for long term, who's going to be for short term, and ultimately who's a fair weather friend and who is, who's a real friend. You're going to be sorting through all of this stuff over the course of this year, and that's one of the things that you can take away from it. So what does 2021 as a 5-year want you to learn? New ways to do, new ways to collaborate with well-chosen partners. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about really picking who is the right fit, and ultimately you might be really surprised because 5 is an energy of change. So this year it does look like new people are coming in for you to collaborate with, and some of them could be very, very different. You might even find that the people that you're attracted to in terms of, love and romance partners and stuff, you might be really surprised at how different those people are. And if that is the case, go with it, because the 5 energy wants something new, but it wants something to happen faster than normal, whereas the 2 energy is about slowing things down and taking things at a pace. So something for you to consider. This is a year for you to stand alone. This 5-year wants you to learn new ways to stand alone and ultimately to be independent. Now, that's not necessarily an energy that you are used to. That's not saying that life path 2 people can't be independent, because I'm sure a lot of you are. It just means that you do much better when you are aligned with or collaborating with others. But the way these 2 energies combine, it's asking you to think about how you can be more independent, how you can be more self-reliant, and how you can really stand alone. Consider your earning avenue and potential in new ways. So this is a year for you to really balance the books, look at the finances, look at the money. What are you bringing in versus what's going out? And more importantly, how can you increase what's coming in, and how can you get the most out of whatever it is that you do have, or the income or revenue stream that you currently have, whether it's one or more. Think about your relationship style. You could really be picking this apart and analysing what relationships have worked for you in the past, what haven't, why they worked, why they didn't. You could be really going into this and almost like studying your own relationship style, and also really paying attention to the types of people that you tend to attract. To relax. You've got to find ways to relax this year. And the 5 is a very fast, dynamic energy. It's a very vibrant movement, forceful, forward progression, sort of passionate energy. And because of the way that this combines with your own number this year, the best way that you're going to get out of this, or the best ways that you're going to relax, is find ways to use active recovery, active rest, active relaxation. Things like walking, things like reading, things like Tai Chi is a brilliant one. Yoga is a fantastic one. Anything like that is movement based, but something that is almost like something that chills you out, but is movement based, or it's kind of like that whole, what was that? Sorry. That whole idea of active silence, all of that sort of stuff. So what is active silence? It's, it's music that has a very, sort of chilled sort of energy to it. Discover or define what you bring to partnerships. And this is a really important part of this year for you. It's asking you to find new ways to be supportive, but ultimately to recognize what it is that you really bring to all of your partnerships. What is it that makes you unique? And ultimately, what is, if it takes two people to do this, right? What is it that you're bringing? It's not just about being present in a partnership, a relationship, or a connection. What is it that you actually bring to the table? Discover that this year and go through the process of understanding why that's important and ultimately what it is that you are bringing. And then finally, find new ways to mediate, find new ways to bridge the gap between old ideas and new ideas, maybe between certain types of people. If you are used to or prone to that sort of piggy in the middle kind of energy, which a lot of life path 2 people are, find new ways to do it, or find ways to kind of avoid it and just say, actually, you know what, I'm checking out, I've got other ish to do. So something for you guys to think about. All right, so your challenges over this year, feeling lonely and working through it, not filling the void just because you don't want to spend time alone, or, this goes back to what we were saying about standing alone and being independent. 2s generally do a lot better when there are other people around or in their space. This year, you might find that sort of, you can still be highly sociable, although that might in itself present new challenges. It might be as well that your social circle does either fall away or starts to evolve dramatically because you are evolving dramatically. Feeling lonely and working through that, not filling the silence just for the sake of filling it, or not filling the void with other people just because it's like, my social circle's diminishing, so let's just throw anybody in. Be really thinking about what is quality versus quantity this year. Playing the support role with no reward. Usually 2s tend to gravitate towards, playing supportive roles or assisting people, mediating, collaborating, all of that sort of stuff. But this year you may find, and it's usual because you're quite a magnetic sort of energy, that you tend to see a lot of the way of rewards for that kind of behavior. This year it could be very few and far between, and you might find that really challenging. Even if you do great at work, you might kind of not get as much praise or as much recognition for it. And this year you're just going to have to find ways to, that's one of the challenges, find ways to do what you do and keep the quality, but not necessarily gain all of the rewards. And I know that sounds really rough, but at the same time, this is a part of the challenge of the year, right? Having ideas but not being able to move on them yet. So this might be one of the ones that really frustrates you, that you have these great ideas, that you've got these new directions that you want to go in, but the energy, the time, the resources, the people, the manpower, it's just not there for it. Not until next year. And next year you guys are going to be in your element. 2022 is a 6 year, but it's all the 2s, and you are a life path 2. So that is a much more harmonious energy, and the way that it combines, that could see you really moving on your big ideas. It could be this year, you might find that the people that you used to resonate with, because what I've got here for one of your challenges is hard to find people who resonate with you. And the way that might come about is you might kind of try to go for the same sort of people in relationships, in friendships, in colleagues at work, and it's just not going to work because the 5 wants new, it wants different, it wants out there. And so you might find that that's the reason that your social circle, all of that sort of comes through or goes through these big sort of changes. Be open to frivolous connections. This is a year for you to really understand the idea that not everybody that comes into your life is here to stay. That's a life path 2 thing in general, but this year it's really highlighted for you. Doing things for the sake of it, or doing things for joy, and understanding that all plans, All plans are subject to change. If you can get behind that idea this year, you stand a much better chance of sailing through it. So your blessings for this year: great time to work on your intuition. This year is a brilliant year for you to discover or practice or find a spiritual practice or a spiritual path that resonates with you. I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about true spirituality. Finding a path that really, a daily practice that you can put your time, your effort and your energy into this year will really serve you very well. Discover health secrets. This year you could learn a lot about the physical body, about the immune system, about your own body, about things like circadian rhythms, how the body reacts to sunlight and moonlight and when we're supposed to sleep and all of that. Could be really, really great for you. Discover what makes you unique. This is a really important point. Stick with that one, right? Start working on your body or your image. And the reason I say that is because next year I feel like the Life Path 2 people are going to kind of explode out into the world. And so you want to be ready for that, right? You want to be in the right space at the right time. You want to be, feeling great, looking great. So this year, consider this year as your foundational year. And it's funny because 2020, I called, because of the way the numbers are for me, I've called 2020, affectionately my ugly duckling year. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. So stay tuned for next year, right? Or for 2021, because I'm filming this in 2020, but you get my point. So this could be a great year for ideas, and it's also could be a great year for sexy time, like for learning what really turns you on, what is sensual to you, what is sexual to you. That might be going through a process of evolution as well. So something to consider. Key pieces of advice if you are a Life Path 2 for 2021. Don't expect instant results. Let fate move you. Make preparations for next year, and big ones at that. All right, so this is your year to work behind the scenes, do all of the prep work, lay the foundations, get all the understanding and the knowledge that you need so that you can explode into it in your 8 year, in an 8 kind of energy for you for next year. So with that said, let's delve into your cards. Before we start, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's have a look, see what what the year ahead has in store for you, Life Path 2 people. And in January, straight out of the gate, you have the Devil card, right? So your first card out kind of sets the tone for the entire year, and you get the Devil. So what is this saying to you? It doesn't mean that you're going to have an awful year. We've already talked about it being challenging, that feeling of driving with the brakes on, or things not happening or moving quite as fast as you'd hoped. January will see you really starting to come into that understanding. So right out of the gate at the start of 2021, you will really get this understanding of what's been holding you back, where you've been giving your power away, where it is that you go through cycles or patterns that are destructive, and it might throw some of this up, and when I say throw it up, I mean it might be in a really big way that something or someone is revealed to you, and it kind of shows you where it is that you kind of shoot yourself in the foot, where it is that you don't necessarily always work in your own best interests. Now let's give that some context and flesh it out to see what else might be coming up here. All right, so there are challenges this year. It is going to be a challenging year for you, but it's going to be a really growthful one. One of the beautiful things about the Devil card is once you embrace that idea and you say to yourself, right, okay, this thing has me trapped for now, but I have the power to get past it. If you've ever seen the film Labyrinth, when she remembers the final line of the lullaby or the poem, you have no power over me. That is the Devil card. It brings something up in a really big way, makes you look at it, it forces you to say, this thing is holding you trapped. What are you going to do about it? That's the question. and this comes with the Three of Pentacles. So where is it that you are telling yourself that you aren't smart enough, that you don't know enough? Where is it, for some of you as well, January is going to throw up for you that thing that is unfinished, whether this is a course, whether it's a course of study, maybe it's a qualification. January is going to be a month that shows you where that thing on the back burner is taking up so much time and space. Consider January as well, whether it is a qualification, a course, whether it is something that you keep saying, you know, one day I'm going to do that, one day I'm going to do that, and you don't do it, and it frustrates you, and it just takes up time, energy, and space. You know, maybe you said you were going to start a jewelry business, and you've got all the stuff packed out in your garage, but you never do anything with it, and so you can't use the garage, and in the back of your mind you're always berating yourself because all of that stuff is hanging around. Well, this is the time. You either fix it or you forget it. January is going to flag this up for you in a really big way. Because it comes through the guise of the Three of Pentacles, this does feel for me like some sort of study, some sort of learning, some sort of qualification that you keep saying you're going to do, but you never get round to it. Someone or something could really kind of highlight this to you in January, and it's kind of like, it will be kind of like a bit of a kick in the teeth, because you'll be like, oh, okay, so I see we're just, you know, straight away here in January we're digging each other out for what we haven't done, yeah. You know, it could be one of those energies. For February, you have the Sun card, right? So it looks like you do the work, right? Whatever it is, whether you fix it, whether you forget it, whether you do it, whether you don't. February is going to be a great month for you. Remember, the Sun card always adds life, light, heat, power, and consciousness as well, effectively, to everything that it touches. So February is a much better month for you. This is probably, let's say that January is kind of part of your, you know, part of a different timeline, and then February, your real year starts. But remember, this whole year is going to have challenges for you. Refer back to your numerology. To clarify that, this is to do with the Seven of Pentacles. This year you could really discover, and February is going to show you where to put your time. It looks like there's some sort of investment opportunity. It looks like for a lot of you, you are either going back to school or you're picking this thing back up. That thing that you always said that you want to do, it looks like you continue with it, and February is going to see you with that renewed sense of vigor, that renewed sense of, you know what, I said I was going to do this and I'm going to stick by it. There's a part of this as well that really feels like you're showing up for yourself. It's kind of like, you know what, forget, you know, whatever other people's promises are, etc. I'm showing up for me. This could be, like I said though as well, if there is an investment opportunity that comes up for you in February, if there is, you know, maybe it could be as well for some of you that February sees a month where you could really put some money away, where, you know, your finances are in such a good place that you could, you know, squirrel a nice little chunk or a nice little lump sum away for the long term. Which look, you know, February just looks like a gorgeous month. March, we have the Tower. So if you probably won't have seen all of the other life paths, but some interesting things have come up. March, July, and November. So all around the water signs seem to be where we're going to see the challenges over the course of 2021. So you've got the Tower card, right? So big realizations, big shocking moments. It could be as well that March brings you an upheaval to your plans, things that you'd put together that you thought were a bit more of a solid bet. Not this, right? Whatever's happening in February is kind of not isolated, but whatever you're creating, doing, or investing in February, it does look like it's going to be great for the long term. It might not necessarily give you immediate results. We saw this in your numerology, right? So you see how it kind of plays in tandem there. Love it. And then so the Tower comes with the Death card, right? So there's going to be a big realization that comes to you over the course of March. And this could be, for some of you, this might be to do with a relationship. It does look like you're really starting to figure out what it is that you truly want. And it does look like some of you might be ending a relationship. Remember, your Death card is also Scorpio ruled. So sometimes it can talk about what your truest desires are and where it is that you're just not acknowledging that. Whereas March, it kind of feels like you're not going to have the option. You will have to kind of, you know, if you feel something, if you feel passionate about it, you'll have to go for it. Now, with the Tower card in close proximity, March could be a time where on the wider world stage, we're seeing something you know, something happen where there could be a natural disaster of some sort. But for me, I don't know why, I feel like this is linked to a boat. I just feel like it's going to be a ship or a boat or something of that nature. We're going to see kind of have, you know, it might be something that is a wider world stage disaster. And it does feel like it will come, and it might, you know, be one where a lot of people transition out. For you personally, though, it does look like maybe the end of a relationship, but it looks like you're making a really sudden decision here. And I feel like a lot of people around you are going to be like, wow, okay, where did that come from? Completely left of field. Because it's kind of like you're changing directions or letting something go or cutting it off, but really suddenly. For April, you have the Judgment card. Yeah, so whatever this is in terms of the wider world stage, it does look like a lot of people will be transitioning out. The Judgment card has come up a lot as well for the month of April, which I find really interesting. So I'm intrigued to see what's happening there. But for you guys, this is your blast from the past energy. This is something coming back into your life that is coming back to be assimilated or to be, you know, reassessed or reevaluated in some respect. And it comes with the King of Wands. So this person coming back into your life is very likely to be a fire sign. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. For some of you, this could be somebody that sets you on a completely different path. It does feel like somebody that you do already know, or somebody from your past. So you might not have seen this person for a while, but boom, all of a sudden they show up. Now, this falls on top of the Judgment card, so I'm going to say it's very likely that this person is a Sagittarius. Doesn't have to be, but it's very likely that they are. It also tells me as well that older family members are going to feature for you in some respect. Now, those of you that are starting new relationships in April, it looks like this person is either very wise for their years or is older than you. This is somebody that is, you know, on some mature stuff. All right, so May. You have the Empress. May is a good month for money as well, which is nice. We start to see, you know, we've got the Empress there in May, so she's kind of sitting pretty, right, in a Venusian sort of Taurian energy, which is good. Now, your Empress is also about the beauty of life. It's where you plant fertile seeds that are going to bring things into practice. Whatever it is that you're investing in here in February, you might start to see some payouts as soon as May, you know, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Comes with the King of Swords. So I've got a Libra person here. This is very likely because your King of Swords can be an air sign male, very often a Gemini, Libra or Aquarius. It falls with the Empress, and the Empress is, like I said, Venus. Venus's other ruling, the sign that she rules outside of Taurus is Libra. So it looks like a Libran person is featuring, very likely to be a Libran male, is going to feature for you in May. Now, remember, your King of Swords is also about legal stuff. It's about paperwork. I'm actually seeing a lot of you purchase land or some sort of, yeah, it feels like land for me. I actually feel like a lot of you are signing a contract to buy some sort of land. Now, when you get two kings here, because you've got two kings, your kings are the highest expression of the suit, and two kings is about minor council. So this is where you're kind of like, just trying to think like what's the best way to put it. Minor council is kind of like, you know, when you go to, yeah, like maybe going to speak to a mortgage advisor or somebody that is maybe like a banker of some sort. But it does look like you are signing for a big purchase in May. And for a lot of you, because it falls with the Empress, I feel like this is very likely to be some sort of, what's the word? Some sort of land. For some of you, this could even be that you're opening or purchasing a store or a shop, and it is going to be a physical shop, not an online one. June, you have the Magician card, right? Lovely. So, you know, good, clear communication in June. This is where I kind of feel like June is going to be where you're either launching yourself or rebranding yourself in some respect, which is a really nice energy for you. Remember, the Magician card always sees you reaching for the top or going for something bigger or bolder than, you know, than you've dared to go for, you know, before. The context for that is the Six of Pentacles. If you need money, if you're looking for a loan, any sort of finance, any sort of financial assistance, your power months are going to be May and June, especially June, because it looks like, you know, whatever it is that you're reaching out for, the Six of Pentacles is a card of charity, it's a card of giving, but it's also a card of outside parties that want to assist you. And this is a really powerful person. So this is somebody that could sway it in your favor. If there's something that you want or need to do that is going to require either a guarantor, somebody to stand behind you, somebody to speak on your behalf, maybe even a character reference, all that kind of stuff. June is going to be a month where this is really happening for you, which is really, really nice. Now, because you've got the Magician card here, and that is Mercury, your King of Swords that's coming through in May possibly could also be a Gemini. So this is very likely to be a Libran person or a Gemini person. So July, we have the Hermit card. Now, your Hermit card is about wisdom, but it's also about, you know, where you withdraw from the world. It's where you make yourself still enough to hear the High Priestess speak, as I always say. Now, for July, it does look like you're not necessarily working behind the scenes, but it does look like you are working very hard. To couple that, you've got the Two of Pentacles. So whatever you're gaining or applying for in June, it looks like you're getting it. Whereas in July, it looks like you're now putting that to use, right? So if you get the loan for your shop or your store or your land, July is going to be the month where you start to action this, where you start to put it into, you know, into practice or into physical, tangible sort of stuff. Now, on the wider world stage, and the reason I'm looking at these 3 months is because there's been so many interruptions around them. On the wider world stage, I actually feel like there's going to be something happening with trade, something happening with commerce, and with the Hermit card as well. It could very well see something happening with, I don't want to say food per se, but it does feel like it's either agricultural or, you know, something to do with where money changes hands for products that people need. So it's definitely trade and commerce is coming up for that. So I'll be interested to see what it is. You got the Wheel of Fortune for August, your month of travel. The travel month for you that is coming up is very likely to be August. It's going to be the Wheel of Fortune. So it kind of looks like for the most part of this year, you're pretty much grounded. It's going to be August that really sees you kind of getting out there, connecting with other people, maybe even welcoming in, you know, foreign people, foreign cultures, you know, collaborators that are from places that are very different to you, maybe from backgrounds that are very different to you as well. Remember, your Wheel of Fortune is luck, success and abundance. It comes with the guise of the Five of Wands. So wherever it is that you're traveling to in August, you're not going alone. You're, you know, most people don't travel alone, but wherever it is that you are going in August, you're traveling with a lot of people, or certainly there's going to be a group of you. It doesn't look like you're going on your own. So this is why I say to you, those groups that you are aligning yourself with or to, they're going to be really important. You know, because you're figuring out who is the sort of person, you know, that you want to connect with. Now, your Five of Wands can also be competition with the Wheel of Fortune as well. This could be you maybe having some sort of a win, some sort of a success of some sort, because your Wheel of Fortune, luck, blessings and synchronicities, and with the Five of Wands, it just looks like you are, I don't know, in some respects I feel like it's like you're ahead of your competitors, whoever or whatever they might be, you know, from or whatever arena they're in. September, you have the Death card. All right, so making a finite decision here in September, and it does look like something is coming to a close, something's coming to an end, and because it's the Knight of Pentacles, so on a really practical sort of mundane level, September looks like you're changing your car. This is probably the best time for you to do it. If in September you get to that month and there's any little niggles, even if they are really small niggles, on your car, if there's any sort of knock-in sounds, if there's anything, you know, even like a little bit of rust, whatever, get rid of it and get a new one. Now, you know, I'm not saying that everybody's got it just to go out and buy a brand new car. You can get a second-hand one, and you might do really well for that, you know, because you've got the Death card, which is, you know, Maybe some of you as well, it looks like you might be buying possibly a vintage car of some sort. That's definitely a possibility, but it looks like your mode of transport that you have for your household or your personal transport, it does look like there's something that's something about it that might be irreparable, so consider that. On an environmental stage, September is a month to avoid trains. I know a lot of you are going to be like, that's such a doom and gloom thing to say. You know, that's all I'm going to say on that front. September is a month for you to, just avoid trains. That's what I would like to say to you. The other thing is as well, with your Knight of Pentacles, this can be about the things that you're determined to complete, determined to see into fruition, let's say. So October, you have the World card. The World card always brings you a change in status. This is where you're ready for the next level, where you go to a different place. If you're single, you become partnered. If you're partnered, you get engaged. If you're engaged, you get married. If you're already married, you have a family. You know, it just changes something about your world in a really big way. And even if you don't necessarily feel that you're ready for it, you will be. You'll be able to cope with it because you've already done enough in that sector. It comes with the Nine of Pentacles. Work looks really good. Like whatever you've been working on, whatever you've been delving into, especially this whole sort of study / investment energy, it looks like October's going to be a month where things really start to pay off for you. October's going to be the month as well, actually, where whatever it is that you did decide to commit to, whatever it is that you did decide to dig in and kind of do the work in or on or around, October's the month where you start to see some of the rewards for that. It is a much easier, much more harmonious energy. October, if you do purchase land in May, October looks like where you're going to see either some sort of completion or construction taking place. For those of you that this relates to, like a store or something of that nature, again, October just looks like an amazing month of maximization for you, which is really nice. November, you have the Star card, so something is definitely I don't know what it is. I've been trying to put my foot on it, my finger on it, and I feel like it's going to be something to do with either our currency, you know, like maybe a global currency. I just got this sense that something big, especially July and November. The other thing for July as well on the wider world stage, maybe sanctions against a specific country, countries that are ruled by Virgo, possible and likely. That's something that could be happening, because July feels like a month where we're going to see some sort of kickback or possibly even some sort of war, whereas November, right, so you've got the Star card. So on a personal level, for the Life Path 2 people, I'm fascinated by the amount of stuff that's coming through for like the wider world stage. It's just crazy. Your Star card on a personal level, this is a glimpse into your future, where it is that you're going from here, what it is that you're setting yourself up for. This October month could really be setting you up financially. So the months that are going to do that for you are your February, your May, June and October. Those are going to be the months that really top you up. And when it comes to those months, squirrel some money away, put something away for a later date. But yeah, your Star card is where you're going to, you'll get a glimpse of what you're creating. You've got the Knight of Swords with that. So this could be something to do with the education system. This has come through before. It could be something to do with one thing that I have seen is about the barriers of, the world, and the borders and the lines and stuff is starting to dissolve as of next year. So that's going to be interesting. But with your Knight of Swords, this can sometimes see things happening hastily. And because the Star card is, it rules the internet, all things technological, this could be a year, or not, this could be where some of the censorship and stuff like that, this could be the month where people really kick back, beyond. I mean, they already are, but November looks like it could be a month where there's very much a feeling of us excuse me, us and them, where, you know, and people could really be very, very vocal, very, very outspoken. I feel like we might very much see as well in November 2021, there might be a lot of protests. I mean, like some serious, you know, like we've never seen, like numbers that we've never seen. And then December, you have the Strength card. So for you, December, look at this, right? So however it is that you start the year, you finish the year having so much more courage, strength, poise, self-belief, self-understanding, self-reverence. It looks like you finished the year saying, you know what, yeah, it was challenging and there were moments where I wasn't sure where it was all going to go, but ultimately it has only served a purpose to really enhance my life and also to push me forward. You could really, by the time you get to December, you could be having a, you know, maybe you're having a Christmas break or a vacation of some sort, but it does see you kind of looking back over the year and saying, you know what, yes, it had its moments, but damn, that's been a good year. And then finally, that comes with the Four of Pentacles. So whatever you want to build, whatever you want to invest in, you know, December looks like a month where it's really coming through. Now, in terms of your physical health, December is a month where you really want to pay attention to your liver. You know, I talked about your body and your image and stuff. December looks like a month where you, pay attention to your liver. Just make sure that you're eating and drinking well for it to function well. Also, December could be a month where you are starting to consider your weight. You know, how this works for you, what needs to change about it. It just looks like you're looking at your physical body, your physical tangible body. In terms of things that you want to create, in terms of money, materials, those things look really good. And I actually feel like December, it could be kind of like a Scrooge McDuck moment for you, you know, where you're sitting like, look at all my millions. You know, this could just be a month where you are taking stock and realizing that you've done so much better than you might have expected to. Just because the year starts out shaky doesn't mean that there aren't, you know, blessings in it. And then finally, your key to the year. What does 2021 want you to know or to learn? You've got the Death card. This card has come up 3 times for you. You have the Death card, you have the Death card, and you have the Death card. This is a year for you to really get into this idea, and we talked about this in your numerology. What is it that you truly want? What are your actual desires? And more importantly, this is a year for you to really delve into who you are, who you choose to become from here on in. And with the Death card, this is about figuring out what needs to be let go of. Again, refer back to your numerology part of this because it will really start to flesh it out and give you some context. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic year, challenges and all. Take care. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.